Hey friends, Powwow guy Rob Phoenix here and Josani. Um, just popping in to say hi, just talking about some random stuff today.
This is the video that we kind of put off for a few days.
Yeah, it's been a rough weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but just say it, Harris. Yeah, so anyway, we just want to talk about some random powwowy stuff since I haven't really been talking a lot about powwow lately. And in general, we haven't been making too many videos. So Josani wants to talk about some things, and then I want to talk about some stuff. So welcome.
So I'm going to be talking about the himmelsbrief. It's a religious piece of writing that basically people think was written by God. And it's used for powwow protection charms and protection. Uh, so what you need to do is, I kind of have a note here. I'm going to read it off, but let's see. What you could do is you can use it to make blessings for personal well-being, health, and prosperity. To create one, you will need a piece of paper or parchment. A writing instrument, you can use coffee, ink, or often ink, and possibly some decorative elements. Before writing, take a moment and focus on the intentions of the charm. Write the letter in protective text and symbols, being mindful of your intentions. You must pray, or you may pray over the himmelsbrief, asking for blessings as you seal it. Keep the himmelsbrief in your home or carry it with you. Um, in conclusion, the himmelsbrief is a fascinating document example or a fascinating example of how folk magic and spirituality interact in Pennsylvania Dutch culture. I think it's also fascinating because it's one of those like kind of myth things. Like people think it was written by God, but we don't really have proof.
Well, and we write them,
Yeah.
so they're empowered by God as we write them. But yeah, the original was there was one from it's in the 1700s that the paper just fell from heaven and supposedly landed in somebody's hand. This letter written by God for protection. I think that's kind of where they started. But there's actually examples though of protective letters going all the way back to the Old Testament. There's something found in like BC, sometime in BC, just bits of parchment, and it's verses from an Old Testament book that would believe to be carried for protection. So yeah, himmelsbriefs are very cool. They it's basically just a prayer to God to protect against a certain thing. You say your prayers while making it, and it doesn't even have to be neat. It could just be your own scrawl on paper, fold it up, put in your wallet. Somebody can carry it in their purse. They think there's sort of a story that George Washington carried one into battle with him. Um, so yeah, Josani's right. You can decorate them, make them real pretty. There's also like a house blessing is kind of an extension of the himmelsbrief. We have a couple of those around the house. Um, so yeah, and those are really easy. You can just make one, yourself. You need paper and pen. That's it.
Yeah.
Make one yourself. But that's kind of the theme of today is the simple stuff that you can do. I remember a couple of years ago, I was giving a powwow talk, at some kind of conference or something. And I was just talking about powwow and like the things you do, just daily stuff. And somebody in the conference raised their hand and said, "Yeah, but what about like your spiritual growth?" And I'm thinking, what about it? Because powwow is one of them simplistic things like that people just did when they needed to do it. The it's yeah, the religious foundation of powwowing is Christian, but the worldview was Christian at the time. Especially within like Pennsylvania Dutch culture, it was just assumed that God exists and Jesus exists, and some people believed in angels and saints, and people went to church, and it was just that's how people saw the world. There was God, there was the devil, there was good, there was evil, there were powwowers, there were witches. And so it was under that assumption that people did powwow. You didn't have to make a big religious deal out of it. You just did it. And what I like, I've talked about these little booklets before, but I wanted to bring them back again because these are really good examples of books that assumed a certain worldview, but you didn't have to make a big deal out of it. I know, like in a lot of modern magical traditions, it's all about elevating your higher self and reaching your full potential to be like this being of white light and such. And then some people say, well, we are beings of white light and we're just having human experiences. Well, then if we already are that, then why do we need to become that? But powwow doesn't take any of that stuff into account. It's not a path of spiritual progression. It's just a practical stuff. If you need it, you do it, and then you go about your day. You don't have to have religious ceremonies about it. You don't need to put on robes and burn incense and all that stuff. You just do it and then go about your day. And that's what a lot of these books, like especially like these Anna Riva books, remember these? They assume you have your worldview, and it's like, here, if you need to get rid of a curse, here's what you do. If you want to make a doll for magic, that's what you do. And you don't have to be like casting circles or praying to anybody about it. You just do it. You say the words that are in there, and that's it. That's how books like The Long Lost Friend assumed. And that's how, when we were putting stuff together for this powwow guide that we made, Powwow for Everyday Needs, it already assumes you have your worldview. And so if you need to do something, you just grab it, you do it, and then you go about your day. And so himmelsbriefs are kind of like that too, because you grab a slice of paper, you write out what your prayer is, you say your prayer over it, you fold it, tuck it into the family Bible, tuck it behind a picture frame, put it in your pocket or your wallet, and then you go about your life. I think when people lose sight of the simplicity of a folk tradition, it starts to get muddied. And then that's where you start getting misinformation and disinformation and all kinds of silliness. But really, powwow is just meant to be a simple little practice that's just a part of your life. Anyway, that's what I want to say about that. So,
I have something.
yeah, please.
And for like the importance of powwow, people may not think that it works, but if you believe in God, then it should work. People don't really think of it as like putting the energy from God into someone and that heals them. They just think that it's fake and it doesn't work, but it all it all matters on your belief in God and how you view him. So if you believe in God, then it should work for you. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
No, but that's a good point too, because I think kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like that was just the worldview people had. There was God, there was the devil, and people just didn't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
But people don't see God the same way now. And so I think more people, especially magically oriented people, spend more time trying to disprove Christianity. You know what I mean? And just put it down, and or take what Christian practices like powwowing and fit them into some sort of new made up new age sort of paradigm. And that's missing the point of it. That's yeah, the point is for it to just be simplistic. The point is for you to have your religious spiritual beliefs. You don't even have to be religious. We're not religious people. Uh we don't go to church or anything because a lot of that's BS. But we have our beliefs, and that's all that matters. And you don't have to make a big deal out of it. You don't have to plan your whole life around it. But when you need powwowing, it works for you because you have that understanding that God's there, and this is how you tap into that power. Is that kind of what you were saying? Yeah.
Yeah. And another one last thing before we go. You were saying how your belief in God has kind of changed. It hasn't shifted. Like you don't not believe in God, but it's changed because like the Bible has a lot of BS in it, like a lot of mythological stuff and stuff that to the normal eye is just not real, and anyone could tell that it's not real. But I mean, there's some people out there that that's their whole life. Like this kid I know, we're not gonna just get into that, but it's an example of how you shouldn't let your beliefs drive onto others. Like keep it on the down low and don't make it be your entire life's work. Like don't let it consume you is what I'm saying. Cause it'll get the better of you.
Well, we see that nowadays in the political scene and such. They're allowing quote unquote Christian beliefs to run rampant, and now there's transgender people are being discriminated against. In some states, they're coming after same-sex marriage again. That's what happens when people allow their own beliefs to be forced onto other people. Historically speaking, it doesn't work out well. So all good points. But yeah, the takeaway from this video is I hope to keep it simple and don't overthink it. The powwow is there. If you want to start doing powwow, just do it.
He just made a new book about it too.
Oh, it's right here. Yeah. Yeah, it's literally if you don't know anything about powwow or if you've been struggling, like how do I get to work and do it and such, this booklet, and it's just a booklet. It's done in the spirit of all these kind of little magical booklets. Just do it. Just open it up and I tell you, like, I literally tell you everything, how to move your hands, the gestures to make, what direction to face, what do you say, how many times you say it. It's all in here. So you're not going to find a better explanation on these powwow charms and rituals anywhere else. And you'll see the simplicity of it. And that really is like its strength and its power. So anyway, we blabbed long enough. I hope everybody's doing well. It's Super Bowl Sunday. That means nothing to us. We don't care.
Yeah, we
But
just be chilling.
yeah, so we will not be watching Super Bowl football, whatever. But anyway, if you do that, I hope you enjoy it. Have a good day. And
See you in the next one.
yeah, God bless you guys. Love you. And we talk again soon.
Peace out.